Welcome to Sinister Heroes. I'm your host, Danny Iniquitous. Thank you for tuning in. If you're new to the channel, this is a channel about Dungeons and Dragons where we try and take a darker tone with everything we do here. So if you like edgier kind of content, definitely hit that like and subscribe button. Check us out on Patreon, and a big thank you to our Patreon supporters. It is a blessing and a great thing that we love so much that you help support the channel. If you're interested in becoming a Patreon supporter, the link is in the description. And finally, our good friends at Dice Legion, use the promo code SINISTER and get 10% off all your purchases. That link is also in the description. And with all that preamble out of the way, we're going to jump into this week's video, The Way of the Drunken Master Monk. This video comes to us as a request from our good friend Lucy S. We appreciate it when you guys send us messages. I personally read every single message, every DM, every Facebook, Instagram message, anything you guys send us, I do read. Sometimes it takes me a long time to get back to you guys, but I do put a lot of effort into being able to communicate with you guys and hear the things that are going on. And I'm always so interested in the characters you guys play and the ideas and the concepts that you guys come up with and some of the great stories you have to tell of some of the things you've done and the incredible DMs that you've got that allows you to do those things or help nourish those kinds of behaviors. So always feel free, always message us, comment us. We love to hear from you guys, so don't ever worry about it. We're definitely listening. Bonus proficiencies. When you choose this tradition at 3rd level, you gain proficiency in the performance skill if you don't already have it. Your martial arts technique mixes combat training with the precision of a dancer and the antics of a jester. You also gain proficiency with brewer's supplies if you don't already have it. The important thing to note, and I want to tackle this right at the beginning, your character does not have to be drunk constantly. A lot of the times when you've seen drunken masters in movies like Jackie Chan in Legend of Drunken Master or even Rock Lee in Naruto, when they use this technique, it's something that they develop in combat. They don't show up to combat inebriated. Being a drunk character might be fun for a little while, but it is something that might become a little taxing or a little hard to perform, or something that might seem exciting in the beginning, but when you're in session 30 of a year-long campaign, maybe it's time to switch things up a little bit. A great way to step away from that is to use it like the way they do in movies. When you start using your drunken techniques and your drunken abilities, maybe you know, flavor-wise, take a swig of a flask or something, and go from there in order to bring that kind of fighting style forward, you know, and try and keep your abilities almost separate, almost like it's like a hidden technique, so you have that kind of anime character kind of a feel. But I say this because it's important to not, you know, make your character dependent on a substance to be a character, because you never know if someone's at your table has any issues with alcoholism or anybody they care about has a long history about that, and you want to be sensitive to those things. So making sure everybody's okay if that's the kind of character that you're going to portray, where you're constantly drinking or you're constantly drunk as the character, you might want to make sure that's all right. Because you don't know people's histories or if this might be a touchy thing. And again, the best way to circumvent it is to try and use this as an ebb and flow of combat. Things start getting a little dicey, maybe it's time to take a drink. You know, like use it that kind of a way becomes more of a specialization that not everybody can do, and it makes your martial art that much more impressive and unique, so it can be a performance. And I think that works really well with the actual skill ability of performing and working that together, so that way you get a nice idea of who your character is outside of combat. Drunken Technique. At 3rd level, you learn how to twist and turn quickly as part of your flurry of blows. Whenever you use the flurry of blows, you gain the benefit of the disengage action, and your walking speed increases by 10 feet until the end of the current term. This is a great ability, because if you're playing with a group that has a lot of AoE, say it's early on, so maybe people are using Burning Hands, this is a great way to run up, get a whole bunch of hits in, and run away. The important thing is that you always use this ability. I know it seems like strange because you're a melee fighter, but maneuvering around the battlefield is something that's going to change how your DM is going to have to run the NPC's combat, because it's now going to be a viable option. You're going to be able to maneuver and get out of sight and out of range in case of AoE attacks from stronger enemies. And the best way to see the full benefit of it is to constantly use this ability. You're going to be using Flurry of Blows a lot as a monk. It's going to be one of your more popular abilities. Your key points are going to go there all the time. So make sure that if you do use it, take advantage and move it a good distance away. Make an opportunity to see if they'll chase you. Maybe one or two will, and because you have so much movement speed as a monk, you might even be able to make it back and to the other group, and now you've isolated someone by kiting them. How you use this ability isn't going to change the way you play a monk. It isn't. But the free disengage is incredible. Now you have no reason to never attack before disengaging. You will always be able to have that option as long as you have a key point, which is always going to be better than just disengaging and running away. If you're smart enough to know that you're in a situation that disengaging is your benefit, at least you might be able to knock somebody down, push somebody away, or at least do a little bit of damage to hurt them and then start booking it. You can make smarter decisions that don't cost you action economy with this ability. And that's really where the benefit is, because you're not losing a turn of damage. You're not forcing yourself into doing something that feels unnatural to you. You're getting your full attacks out, you're getting your flurry of blows out, and you're getting the availability to get yourself out of a dangerous situation, which is pretty amazing. Tipsy Sway. Starting at 6th level, you can move in sudden swaying ways. You gain the following benefits. Leap to your feet. When you're prone, you can stand up by spending 5 feet of movement rather than half your speed. Redirect attack. When a creature misses you with a melee attack roll, you can spend 1 key point as a reaction to cause that attack to hit one creature of your choice, other than the attacker that you can see within 5 feet. Here's the first thing that jumps out at me right away. It's redirect attack. The wording says that you use the reaction to cause that attack to hit one creature of your choice. They're not re-rolling that attack. They're not gauging it based on the attack roll that they made against you. It is a hit against one creature of your choice. That's the caveat. That's really where the magic is. You're causing that attack to hit someone else. It's a wonderful opportunity to take a good use of your reaction. If you are swarmed and somebody hits you, or somebody big does something with a special weapon or a special attack that does a lot of damage, use that to take away something else that's standing next to you. A quick way to get rid of extra enemy adds or smaller minions or combatants that aren't as bad as the biggest opponent on the field. That's a great way to take them off the fight and to clear it with just using a reaction. It is wonderful because it guarantees that hit. There's no roll. You're not forced to use the same attack roll against the new target. It just hits, which is a blessing. And the second one, leap to your feet. Here's the thing about this ability. The benefits of being prone. If you're in no way, shape, or form under the circumstance where you will be hit with a melee attack, say you have archers on a wall or something, or whatever it is, and you have to get close enough to climb a ladder to get to them, or whatever, or however that circumstance is. If you know they're not moving forward, move as close as you can to them and drop prone. The reason why you do this is because it gives ranged attacks disadvantage on hitting you. That's really where the benefit is. If you get knocked prone from spells or whatever, 5 feet of movement, great, fantastic, get up and run. You can do that. It has that availability, but there's another thing to prone, and that often gets mislooked and not read properly, and people tend to forget it exists. It's one of those things that's in your benefit. If you're trying to hide for cover, or you just know you're not going to get into melee with anything, dropping prone is a great option to do that, to give yourself disadvantage on getting hit. On top of that, you're a monk, so you might be able to reduce the damage, if not catch the arrow anyway, and just dodge the hit and then pop up for 5 feet of movement, run up with that extra monk move speed and get to wherever it is you have to go. And if you do still, use Drunken Technique to move an extra 10 feet and get even further. It is a great addition that doesn't overtune anything and keeps you within the realm of staying on par with where you should be. It doesn't make you too strong. The redirect attack is awesome, but it requires you to be melee with other opponents, which benefits you because you have Drunken Technique in case things start going sideways. So it encourages you to be fighting multiple people at the same time. Drunkard's Luck. Starting at 11th level, you always seem to get a lucky bounce at the right moment. When you make an ability check, an attack roll, or a saving throw, and have disadvantage, you could spend 2 points to cancel the disadvantage for that roll. Dependent on where you are, there are some spells and some effects and some things that you desperately need to dodge. Having disadvantage is crushing to be facing that kind of a roll. Canceling that out does give you the benefit. It's a great use in case you're in any kind of scenario. Someone's going to cast polymorph on you or hold person and you have disadvantage or you have anything that inhibits you. This will give you that better opportunity to not be locked down. And the 2 key points is absolutely worth it considering what could happen to you if you fail some of these checks at the worst possible time. An ability check, touch and go depending on what you're doing. If you're trying to jump a chasm, I'd roll that extra. I'd spend the 2 key points to drop the disadvantage so that way I can guarantee I have the best chance to get by. On attack roll, I would just not waste it on that because you get a bunch of attacks as a monk anyway. You might as well just keep laying waste. Something is going to hit eventually, or you'll have a way to get out of that disadvantage at some point. But really the caveat, the best part, the most crucial thing is the saving throws and the ability checks because they can make the biggest difference at the most important times. Intoxicated Frenzy. At 17th level, you gain the ability to make an overwhelming number of attacks against a group of enemies. When you use your Flurry of Blows, you can make up to 3 additional attacks with it, up to a total of 5 Flurry of Blows attacks, provided that each Flurry of Blows attack targets a different creature this turn. This is really kind of what puts the perspective in for what a Drunken Master is. Surprisingly enough, you are encouraged to get surrounded by enemies. You're supposed to walk up to all of them, Flurry of Blows, and hit every single one, and then walk far enough away. With your move speed as a monk, it can be pretty reasonable that you'll get pretty far away that some of them might not be able to chase you down. It's a unique circumstance for mechanical purposes to have someone as a monk fight that many enemies and that be the purpose of it. That's the exciting part about it. That's this great mechanic about the Drunken Master is if you see 3 people are always trying to reposition and put themselves in a more advantageous circumstance, but you're the Drunken Master, you're just going to walk up and fight them and not worry about anything. It's awesome because if your AC is high enough, and it probably will be because you're a monk, when they attack you, you'll use that one attack and cause it to hit someone else when they miss you. And that might be enough to drop someone, and now you're dealing with less attacks. And now the enemy has to understand a new concept. This is something dependent on how your DMs work or how they scale the intelligence of the creatures that they're using. But if it's difficult to hit you because your wisdom and dex are really, really high and you're a monk, it's difficult to hit you. A smarter enemy will attack something else first before it goes on to you. So now it wants to walk away. It doesn't want to continue to fight you because it sees its difficulties in striking you and the negative effects of missing you, how impactful it is to them. It's not the most intelligent move for someone to be attacking a Drunken Master monk first. So it gives you this great level of intimidation because you're built around fighting that and causing that scenario. If you don't play with DMs that don't use that kind of mentality with monsters and fighting, then you still have the availability to get out of combat. And still do damage and then get out of combat. It's a lot of great variety in what you can do with the combat techniques when you're designed to get in and out. Now, you're legitimately supposed to run in, hit a whole bunch of times, and then walk away. And depending on where you position yourself and your high movement speed as a monk, you could drop a hit and legitimately walk out of range so they can't come up to you anyway. And then walk up, hit them again, flurry of blows, and then do the same thing again, and they just can't hit you. And that's a wonderful thing, because you can be comical about that, and you can mock them, and you can laugh, and it really fits in with the whole kit. Our final thoughts. The way of the Drunken Master Monk is so unique in the fact that it causes you to really take advantage of your move speed. It causes you to run up, to fight a bunch of enemies, which is just crazy, and then maneuver around them. Maybe you need to reposition. Maybe you're getting towards like a spellcaster that's in the back line or something. You have a great way to just do damage along a straight line all the way up to that caster or that squishy glass cannon in the back line. And there's really little anybody can do to stop you. And it creates this great mentality of how you approach combat. You can use this duality of presence of mind where you're more cautious and more aligned with traditional tactics when you're not using your drunken technique. But when stuff starts to get a little further down the line, maybe it's like the second or third combat of the day and you haven't had a rest yet. Yeah, maybe it's time to jump into that Drunken Master technique and start like knocking a few back in order to get you into the however you want to put that mindset in. And then change the way you fight, and instead of being like singular and following suit, now you're just like, oh yeah, no, there's 4 guys over there, I got it, and then just going over there and using redirect attack and just going nuts with your key points and really spending them. That's gonna make the Drunken Master feel amazing. You have, like, the more you use the abilities, the more reckless you have to be with your resources, and that's what produces the best monk, because you're burning flurry of blows, you're burning stunning strike, you're burning redirect, like you're constantly just using these abilities and just chewing through all your key points. But it works with the mentality of who the character is, how the character's mentality should be if they were under the circumstances of being inebriated, and it's gutsy and it's fun and you're just pushing everything you can and you get them back. You know, it's a new way to consider using resources, a new way to be sustaining how you do your abilities and what matters for them, and circumstances in which you need to just get in and get out of combat while still constantly doing damage round after round after round. And it's just so unique on how you do that it's really encouraging to be a little reckless and crazy, which is something I thoroughly enjoy. That being said, we're going to bring this video to a close. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you made it this far into the video, definitely hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't. Check us out on Patreon if you're interested in becoming a Patreon supporter. Thank you so much to our Patreon guys. We absolutely love what you guys do for us. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And a big shout out to our good friends at Dice Legion for giving us the ability to give you guys the promo code Sinister, which gives you 10% off all of your purchases. And above all, thank you for giving the Spooky Kid a chance.